Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Don't need a mic.
No.
Jai Shri Radhe. So the second session for this year is entitled Shri Kumbhan Bhav Darshan. Did you all get this digitally? Yes? So you've all read it?
Would you send?
Yes? Lovely. Okay. And last year, as you probably know, the subject matter was Shri Surdas Ji. And in the stories of the 84 Vaishnava disciples of Sri Vallabhacharya Ji, the last 4 stories are the stories of his disciples who were very prolific in their composing of beautiful devotional literature. Surdas Ji, Paramananda Das Ji, Kumbhan Das Ji and Krishna Das Ji. And Kumbhan Das is a very well known and very, very special member of these who are known as the Ashtachap. I'm sure we've spoken about this before, because Sri Vallabhacharya Ji had these four disciples who were most famous in their compositional skill, and his son Sri Gosai Ji, Sri Vittalnath Ji, had another 4, and between all put together they're known as the Ashtachap. Chap means their signature, so 8. It's a long and very interesting philosophy about why these particular personalities were able to compose such beautiful and enlightening poems. I think if you base in the path of Vallabhacharya Ji, the Seva is not to go to temples but to have Sri Krishna invited into your own home and be served as your child or your friend or your beloved. Many different rasa, or moods of devotion, emotions that you share with your Lord at home. And the whole of the Seva is guided by these poems. They are different for every time of day, for every different type of Seva, for every different season of the year. So you could pick out a particular piece and you would sing that. So in the morning you would sing praises about the Guru and Sri Yamunaji, the river Yamunaji, as a purificatory beginning to your Seva. And then you would wake up the Lord with songs, get up, my son, please, the sun is rising, your friends are at the door, they're waiting for you to come and play with them, to go out into the forest or Vrindavan. And every style and every classical raga is given its own place, pride of place, for morning to evening and in all the different seasons of the year. So a Pushti Margi devotee would learn songs in several ragas to accompany your beloved's activities from morning to evening, and then carry on with, there's a whole section of poems about surrender and dedication and taking shelter and refuge in your one and single beloved, whomsoever you find yourself most attracted to, in whatever form, who would bless you. And as we discussed last week, it's a matter of grace. So when grace falls upon you, your beloved will come to you in that form and give you a chance. And through these poems, there are guides to moods. So that's the Bhav Darshan of Shri Kumbhan Das Ji, how he himself, his personality, his particular personal incarnation views these different days, how his particular mood towards the Lord. So Kumbhan Das Ji lived to be 115 years old, so he's the oldest and one of the most, deeply connected in his love for the Lord. And there are many beautiful stories about him which all occur in his Varta, as I said, the 84 stories and number 83. But obviously, we have limited time to speak about him, so I'm going to go through kind of what bits I pulled out of that to give you the gist, the actual juice, rather than you have to peel the fruit and to make it into pieces. Now, this is just the juice, and that's going straight into the heart, rather than having to be mentally analysed. It just is going to... Anyway, I tried to put that down on paper, which is pretty much an impossible task, but let's try. So, one gentleman, a writer who's written about Shri Kumbhan, his name is Shri Viyogi Hari, and he has written a book called Shri Vraja Madhuri, and he wrote these words, which translated into English read as, "The Lord who uplifts the Sri Giriraj mountain resides in your loving heart. He is an ocean of the nectar of love. By living at the sweet lotus feet of Sri Vallabh, you surpass all in the composition of lovely verses. You regard this world and the next as mere twigs. You have turned your back on mundane society and only look towards Sri Krishna, the protector of the cows. Your name is counted among the 8 friends of Sri Giridhari, and your mind and your heart, O Kumbhan, are veritable urns of divine, nectarian, loving mood." Most of Sri Kumbhan poems are quite short, perhaps 4-liners. But he also wrote, Sri Viyogi Hari, that the compositions are like magnets to reel in souls who crave such satsang. And in these padas, they find a way to thrive despite the corruption and inhumanity around them. So you might sing a song in the morning and it just goes round, and then you can be, attacked with all sorts of various visions and happenings during the day, but it's like the boat in which you can sit and be safe. They provide a bridge to the world of the beloveds, a path to the Nikunja, an attractive and inspiring way to enter the realm of Braj. So it needs to be attractive, it needs to be inspiring. And I think when you listen to a lot of the music in Braj and Vrindavan, you will enjoy the beat, you might not understand the words, but when it's a message and the composition which puts the words in certain juxtaposition, so that the actual sounds by themselves can take you, let alone when you know what they mean. And we're going to try and bring out the meanings of some of them so that those poems come to life and draw pictures for you. The beloveds, Radha and Krishna, Radhe Shyam, are the only stars. They're the only heroes and the only worshipable celebrities. Nowadays, celebrity worship has gone beyond madness. It's incredible, but that's why it's the grace when you are actually having as your celebrity and as your hero, the divine. And Shri Kumbhan love is so pure, it's easy to share in his ecstasy and then transcend your Kali Yuga surroundings. That's what he does. His style is simple, it's direct. His mood is actually that of more of Nikunja Bhava. So worship of the beloveds as the divine couple. So here come the snippets about his character. He wasn't a poet or a performer. He filled his own life, he fulfilled his own life by composing. That's all he ever wanted to do. He had an inherent and a natural ability for singing and music, although he was a farmer, through which he sustained his living and his family. He had 7 sons. Somebody asked him once, how many sons do you have? He said 1.5. Because his son GhanshamDas, he became a composer as well. He's one of the Ashtachap. And then one of his sons was Krishnadas, and he served Srinathji's cows. But he didn't completely have this loving mood. He had more of a, I should do this, it's my duty kind of mood, not that where you just can't stop yourself because you're in love and that's that. There's not much you can do about it. And he was a very uncomplicated person. So there's another story here about, I think we looked at last week, about how a king came to see him and offered him, he offered him stuff, and he just said, look, give me one thing. He said, just don't ever come back here again. Because he forced him to go to see Akbar, and he didn't want to go. So he even wrote a song about, I never wanted to come here, just leave me alone, my shoes have broken, I've wasted my time, please leave me alone. But when he came, Kumbhan said, could you bring me my mirror to put on his tilak, and could you give me my seat to sit on to do my japa and my meditation? And this was his niece, and she said, I'm sorry, the buffalo calf has drunk your mirror and eaten your mat, because his mirror was a bowl of water and his mat was some grass. So the king heard this. He said, oh, you must let me give you a mirror. He said, what am I going to do with a mirror? I don't need a mirror. If I have a mirror here, people will come and steal it from me. And whilst they're stealing the mirror, they will upset my time. I don't have time for such nonsense. I need only to serve my beloved Lord. That's really quite a very famous story, and it's so amazing. And then he said, let me pay your grocery bills. He said, I don't have any grocery bills. We grow our own wheat, we grow our own millet. And you see the 2 trees? These are my grocers, the tenty trees, the tenty berry. And that's how he lived. He had no attraction to any kind of fancy feeding. And his goal of human life, so we were at Purusharth. All Purusharth seemed to him just completely useless. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. What's he going to do with those 4? His only purpose was to please his beloved through singing. That's all he wanted to do, and that's all he did until he was 115. You can go to a village called Jamunawata, which is near Govardhan.